Good morning, everybody. It's fantastic for me to be here. It's always a great day when I get to work with Tanya Plibersek and Julie Owens, so that's great to be here with them. For me, this disability insurance scheme is a combination of the personal, people and politics. And my wife, Chloe's here, and she helped introduce me and understand some of the issues around disability and disability reform. When I went into Parliament 8 years ago, I thought I'd seen unfairness in workplaces, but nothing prepared me for the unfair deal that people with severe and profound disabilities and their carers receive in Australia. And by that, it takes nothing away from the efforts of people with disability and their carers. But 8 years ago, we had a broken system. The more you were in crisis, the more you could get some desperate resources. But the truth of the matter is that this country cannot be the great country we want it to be until we ensure that people with disabilities and their families and carers get a fair go. I mean, we live in two different Australias, and it's not fashionable to talk about equality of opportunity sometimes in elections, but I want to talk about disability and opportunity. We have a broken system in this country where our allocation of resources is done on a crisis basis. It's inconsistent. We don't have a joined-up system in our education where kids with disabilities get the extra support they need. We have an unfair deal in employment where people with disabilities regularly miss out on legitimate opportunities. And we have the system's been underfunded, but as a result, inefficient. What really gets to me about disability is this. Right now around Australia, up till today, there's been ageing parents of adult children who they love dearly, and they're awake at midnight, anxious. Who will care for their children when they no longer can? There are people with disabilities who desperately don't want to be judged just by their impairment, but by their whole personality. And this country needs to do better. And traditionally, when it's come to disability, people say about services like Northcote, oh, they're all saints, the people who work there, but they shrug their shoulders and say the problem's too big, too expensive, it can't be fixed. I and Labor have a different view. We think that if you don't fix the problem, that is more costly. If you don't invest in people with disabilities, that is more expensive. And so we've pushed hard for the NDIS, but what the NDIS also tells me, the idea that you give packages of support to individuals and the people who care for them, and you put people in the middle of decision-making, what NDIS also tells me is not just about the outcome for people with disabilities. It tells me what can be done in this country when the community take control of the political process. There's a lot of discussion at the moment about stability. What I say is you cannot have stability when literally millions of Australians are missing out. The NDIS, to me, demonstrates a better path for this country. If you actually seek the goal of treating people fairly, if you provide the resources to do that, you will get a dividend for this country that far exceeds the simple arithmetic of day-to-day politics. I love the idea that today 30,000 people are receiving packages of support. I love the idea that people will be attracted to coming to work in disability because it is an industry, it is a sector, it is a movement which has resources. I love the idea that we're able to look at people and not define them by a single feature of their personality and impairment, and instead we start looking at the whole person. The NDIS is a cause for hope. It is a cause for hope not just for people with disability and their carers, but when people with disabilities and their carers are able to change the political debate in this nation, then there is a cause of hope for this nation. We can do politics differently in this country if we listen to the voices of the people, if we actually prioritise a proper education, if we prioritise a proper safety net, if we prioritise access to affordable and decent care. If we do these things, the whole nation, the tide of the whole nation's progress lifts. And what I love about the NDIS is this is no individual's accomplishment, although I must acknowledge the work of Jenny Macklin, my colleague too, in helping design and roll this out. But what I say to you is this: when Australians set a direction, if we decide there's a destination, if we decide there's a goal which even looks a bit ambitious, where the naysayers come out and say we can't afford this, or we can't do this, or it's never been done before, do you know what? When this nation decides to set its eyes on the prize, when we don't take no for an answer, when we don't let the naysayers, the conservatives and the economic rationalists say, well, it can't be done, and we decide actually we are a better place, that the nation we want to see in the mirror is one which includes people with disabilities and their families. If we say to parents who are worried that their child, their beautiful baby child at 12 months or 2 years isn't developing in the way which we hoped or expected, that yes, you will get support. If we say to parents with children on the autism spectrum that we will fund teachers' aides at schools. If we say to people who want to get a job but get overlooked in interviews because of their disability, we say we can do some positive support to get you into that job. If we can say to people with disabilities there will be a package of support into their families. If we can say to ageing parents in their 80s and 90s, hanging on, it'll be okay. This country will love your child in the manner in which you've loved your child, then this is a great country. You know, tomorrow's a big day in the history of the nation, but as far as I'm concerned, it'll have to be a pretty big day to top today, because this is a big day in the nation. Today, this nation says that we don't take no for an answer, that we can treat people with a fair go all round. And I just want to thank everyone who works at Northcote, because you do this every day. You give hope. You should take a little bit of hope today. This country can be a better place where we actually set our eyes on the prize and go for the big picture. Thank you very much.
That's Opposition Leader Bill Shorten speaking at Sydney, marking the rollout, the national rollout of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. They're campaigning, as he is this morning, in some marginal Sydney seats that the Labor Party hopes to pick up at tomorrow's vote.